from having to talk with, like police or like reporters or journalists about what was that all about and things like that. Maybe could get away from that and things like that. It was only a few witnesses and things like that, and maybe they might just think that it's a bonfire or something. It's like. Okay, so on January 2012, I flip open up. I was pretty much at this point about to kill myself, like, and kind of like in a way, and I just flip open my laptop instead of have continue on the contemplation or commit suicide. So I flip open my laptop and I kind of wish that I have replaced my webcam and things like that, because there's some problem with it. Felt like maybe should put up that few extra money to replace my webcam, but I just kind of like just ignore that and just press the record button and start recording myself, and I was like saying that, well, this is the time where I would email to the club officer and the club members of my club, which is the Mesa Multimedia Club, and I would also email to any partnership that I have made with. Well, I mean, I left the partnership to one of the staff, the Mesa College staff. His name is Joe, and I kind of left. So I put Joe to be in charge, and Joe was one. Also, he was my classmate back in the Mesa College year. So I put him in charge of the partnership, like any club that we have partnership with. So I told him to turn to Joe, like he's in charge of any partnership that our club have and things like that. So I remember once in a while, exchange email with Joe and see how the partnership's going and things like that, and Joe would kind of like give me like a recap of how the partnership is doing and things like that, and so in a way, Joe is like a sort of like in a way like a in a way, it's just like a branch of his own, kind of like, or you could see it as like a officer or a branch of his own. It depends on how you want to see it. Like, once in a while, like Joe would, me and Joe would exchange a few email, and he would tell me about the partnership and things like that. So, but it's just part of my responsibility as club president to email in to the club members, club officer, and also partnership. So I would, at the beginning of each semester, that's what I would do. Like send out those emails that the club's about to start soon and things like that, and get ready for the beginning of the semester, which is also the beginning of the club semester and things like that. So it's just part of the routine and things like that, and instead of killing myself and things like that. basically like the speaking in front of my laptop is like I felt that it's better than me continue on with the contemplation of commit suicide, which is in a way like I'm killing myself. The contemplation of commit suicide could be argued as I'm killing myself and things like that. And so I did that, and kind of like in a way, and was just saying, and then to kind of go through the agendas and what I would be doing right now if I was still haven't ended my club presidency and things like that, and then I just what happened at the end, when I finally run out of things to say, and what would I do then by then, what would I do, once I run out of things to say and things like that. Then I started changing the topic to, the PTA, like, should've, maybe step up back then, should've stepped up, took that step, like, go to the PTA meeting. PTA stand for Parents and Teacher Association meeting. It's back then during my middle school year, step up and go to those meetings. Just don't have to come up with the excuse. I couldn't convince my parents to come with me and things like that. That's why I didn't go to the PTA meeting and things like that. And it was because of that, it's just, and keep, so because of that, I keep seeing that, Kurt Miller and Kurt Miller's parents are in charge of the PTA meeting, and they're doing, Kurt Miller is the top honor student who was sort of like my, I don't know, for a period of time, I thought Kurt Miller was my idol because, I was trying to have my grade high enough so that one day I could meet him and things like that. It was just so coincident that the Pacific Beach Middle School put me in the same class as Kurt Miller in the in Mrs. Huff math class, and just so another coincidence is I got higher grade than Kurt Miller, so all this confusion broke out and things like that. Anyway, another confusion is like there were a few times Mrs. Huff was telling the classroom, you know, to show some courtesy when they're stopping by my desk to look at my 100% math test scores and things like that. And I remember like Kurt Miller also was one of the students who came by and to look at my 100% math test scores, and it was kind of like in a way, Kurt Miller was supposed to be my idol and things like that, and having Kurt Miller walking over to my desk to look at my 100% math test score and giving me phrases about it and things like that, So like could create all this confusion and things like that. And it's like anyway, but like I was saying, I just keep picturing me like Kurt Miller and Kurt Miller's family has been hosting the PTA meeting and getting parents and teachers to come to the meeting, and even some you know student who have show that those dedication, like Kurt Miller and the other top honest student, like honest student in general, it's like because Kurt Miller is the top honest student, so other honest student who are up there, close to Kurt Miller and things like that, who also show these dedications to the PTA meeting, things like that. So kind of like in a way, Kurt Miller and Kurt Miller's parents is doing all that, providing all this enthusiasm for these PTA meeting. So basically, that's how I've been growing up to know, like, and it's just, and just so happened this one class, Mrs. Huff class, created all this confusion and things like that, and it's like, so anyway, so I kind of like in a way, I felt like once I run out of things to say, I felt so I start talking about want to talk about what if I really pushed it myself and just for once just go to the PTA meeting even though I can't convince my parents and my parents they have immigrant status and they don't just still learning how to speak the English language. How could they go to the PTA meeting? Kind of like in a way, it's just they won't understand what it's going on in the PTA meeting. They don't. They're still learning how to speak the English language and things like that. And I was just saying, it's just trying to. Okay. All right. So, it's flashing that this camcorder is almost run out of storage space. So I'm gonna wrap up today's. I'm gonna wrap up episode 6, and on episode 7, I'm gonna continue where I left off. Okay, so pretty much. So I basically start talking about the PTA, like in a way, what the PTA meeting would be like, and just my thoughts is because I haven't really been to a PTA meeting because I felt that I just couldn't get my parents to go because they still don't know how to speak the English language and things like that. So it kind of like in a way was just having it's sort of like in a way just didn't want to be rejected by the community and just wanted to be part of the community, and I felt that I have done so much to want to be part of the community, like especially serving 4 years as club president. That could shown that I want to be part of the community and things like that, and it felt so anyway I kind of start talking about, and then I was just at the point about to just pretty much come to the end of what I'm saying and about to basically about to kind of like go back to my contemplation and commit suicide. So I just saying, instead of saying PTA or PT. You know, PT, which abbreviated for Pokemon Tournament, could be abbreviated as Pokemon Tournament, or PTA, Parents and Teacher Association. So kind of like in a way, you know, just saying that I have went through a lot, especially on putting a lot of, you know, like time to come, you know, that determinations to put everything I got to the trading card game and the trading card game tournament and things like that. And so I just decided to add another P to it, you know. So instead of PTA or PT, I go with PTT, and then, you know, it's like, so that the S is just, I suppose, you know, just sound like, just to go with the sound, you know. I didn't really put too much. Basically, just go with the PTT, but I felt adding the S to it just sounds like some sort of association and things like that. So it's just kind of like it's saying, I just didn't want to go back to contemplation and commit suicide. So it's just like, welcome to the PTTS, kind of like in a way. And so pretty much I just go with that, you know. Okay, so thank you for watching PTTS. Thank you for following PTTS. I'm gonna end this video in 3, 2, 1.